amazing to have this opportunity to get together with the people who were there at the very beginning of early support, who were the ones who were the pioneers in the first place and who have continued to support it all the way through.
Although we had a clear idea of what we wanted to achieve for children and their families, we had no clear idea as to how we were going to achieve that. So we had to sort of look around and set up a system and how to take things forward from the white paper together from the start. And it was talking to parents that was the main issue. We had certain parts of the jigsaw, they had the other parts of the jigsaw. So we had to move from that base. We got together a small central team working with National Children's Bureau, RNID, and then getting the team together. And based at RNID was Liz, who was working on the education side there.
As John said, he brought together a central team of which I was part, and Kim then joined us, Eileen joined us from the department, and Rosie came to us. So we had a small team that were driving a national initiative, but from the very beginning to try and find a way of implementing change at local level rather than it simply being a centrally driven policy initiative, because it had all come from together from the start, and there were several people around the table who were part of that national working party.
I initially came into early support in 2004 and I came on a temporary basis, I did, and didn't expect it to last 4 years. I initially came in as John's PA. I was involved in absolutely everything I was, so it was great to be working with a team of people that were so great, you know.
Well, I had the privilege way back in the early days of being on the first Together from the Start working party with the DFE, and we were looking at then a blank sheet, I suppose.
Well, I trained in the 70s to be a teacher of children with special needs, there being schools only since 1971, and there was a real sense of excitement and pioneering in the 70s, which I experienced all over again when we became Early Support Pathfinder.
In April 2009, Early Support went back into DFE, and when I went back to the department, I was asked if I'd take responsibility for leading on early support, which was quite daunting for me, because having come from a real small team but a very supportive team, being responsible on my own for taking it forward was quite a task. It was quite difficult in the early days to be able to keep up the profile of early support, but once the Minister had made a decision that the SEN agenda needed total reform, we had some initial policy talks about which areas needed reform and how best that reform could be implemented. So of course early support came up very high on that agenda, particularly around things like the single plan, which was based on the early support family file, the key working approach. So I was very lucky to be in the right place at the right time and in a small way influence some of those decisions.
I think when the Green Paper came along, as Eileen said, it was wonderful to see early support mentioned in there, and I knew why it was mentioned in there, and it was because of the work that Eileen had done back in the department, and it was really important that that work had continued. So we had continuity of early support right back from the early days, right the way through to this new government and the Green Paper. And when I saw what had come out of the Green Paper in terms of a tender for early support, the natural people to work with, as John had said, was the National Children's Bureau, because they'd been there right from the start as well. And I was really lucky to be able to get to be the director of that. But in fact, I'm not alone, which is just such a relief, because everybody sat around this table, and also all of our partners out there are working really hard to try to make sure that the work that was established in the first place in 2003, through the work that Eileen did not to let it drop off the agenda, through to what we're doing now, has all been this continuous process to try to make sure we improve services for children, young people now, and their families. And early support is the thing that should underpin all of that.
It sounds really simplistic, and you think, why aren't we doing it? I don't know why we're not doing it, because when you've experienced the positive impact on children and families, you think, how could we possibly work differently? You can bring your skills, bring your expertise, and it's working in partnership with families and each other has a great impact. Outcomes for children and young people, phenomenal.
So it's really a privilege to be continuing to work with early support through the ages.